When I was a little kid, I would sometimes come running to my mom and say to her, "When I press here, it hurts." On which my mother would always say the magically healing words, "Then stop pressing there." Sometimes things can be as simple as that. Don't do what hurts. We often hear stories about the health risks associated with our eating habits, and also about the disastrous impact that our consumption behavior has on the planet that we live on. We eat too much salt, sugar, fat, processed, and fast food. And when you hear the numbers regarding the amount of land, water, and chemicals that are being used in farming, it can be overwhelming. It can give us the feeling that we're basically already doomed. Because what can I, as a single individual, do about a problem that is so big? Well, we can stop pressing where it hurts. Our health and the health of this planet are a direct result of many, many small and daily decisions that we all make, of all of us combined. And if each one of us makes enough of those decisions in a slightly different direction, then all together we will change direction. And that is when a shift takes place, a shift towards a more balanced food system, in which healthy people and a healthy planet exist together again. And we can make such a shift happen with what I call the big plus, keeping the big plus in mind, where the P stands for plant-based food, the L for local products, and the S for sustainably produced food. And you can make a difference with all those decisions that you make. So a bit more about plant-based food. When you realize that almost 40% of all the habitable land that we have on this planet is currently being used by the meat and dairy industry, then you can imagine how much nature can grow on all that land if we all eat more plant-based food. A recent survey showed that in Europe, almost half of the population is already eating less meat today than they were the year before. It can be as simple as that. Don't press where it hurts. And it's not only better for the planet. Fruits and vegetables are by far your best sources for antioxidants and other vitamins, minerals, and fibers. When food is produced locally, right there where it is consumed, and also the production is adapted to the local demand, we can reduce enormous amounts of CO2 emissions and also huge quantities of food waste. Then about sustainable food. Conventional agriculture causes an enormous impact. It causes climate change, deforestation, and chemical pollution of our drinking water sources. But luckily, there are a lot of alternatives available, sustainable alternatives such as organic food and fair trade products. And besides all the benefits for the planet, there is also an ever-increasing awareness of the health benefits associated with sustainably produced food. And what about you? What is it that you can do to stop pressing where it hurts? Besides keeping the big plus in mind when you buy your food, you can also grow a part of your food at home. And that can be easier than you might think, and it's a great way to learn more about nature, about food, about the seasons, and about different ways in which food can be grown sustainably. You can, for instance, grow food outdoors in soil, like my grandpa also used to do. Whenever we would visit my grandparents, we would always go back home with carrots or beans or cucumbers, berries, whatever the season was. And that is also part of the joy of growing your own food. Imagine how nice it is to share a part of your own healthy, homegrown food with your friends and family. That is what we call microfarming. And this can be on a small scale by giving some products away or exchanging it for some other things, or on a larger scale where you sell part of your food to other people within your community, in your city. And just to be clear, you don't need to have a farm or a house with a big garden outside the city to do microfarming. There are examples right here in Barcelona, such as Adela from Huertas in the Sky, who's also here, and Robert, the farmer on the roof, also present today, who grow a lot of vegetables right on their rooftops, and others who do so on a plot of land, like for instance Connect Hort, also here in Barcelona. And even if you are limited to the size of your own balcony, like the one I have at home, there are quite some things you can also grow on that as well. And you can grow indoors. For instance, through what is called hydroponics. Hydroponic agriculture is the cultivation of plants not in soil, but instead you use another substrate, like for instance cellulose material or cocoa fiber or hemp mats. And a big advantage of hydroponic farming is that you can use circular watering systems. Instead of watering your crops on land and letting the water disappear into the ground, you can collect that water and you can use it again and again. And that way you can have water reductions of more than 90%. When you realize the fact that 70% of all the water that we use on this planet currently all goes to farming, you can imagine the impact of such reductions. And often hydroponic agriculture is done indoors, and that gives you a large control of what does and does not enter into your farm, largely preventing the need for pesticides and other polluting chemicals. And just like organic farmers growing crops in soil, hydroponic farmers can also choose to only use organic seeds, organic substrates, and organic nutrients to grow healthy plants. When we started our indoor farm, right here in Barcelona, about 8 years ago, we were still one of the pioneers. And now we are training people all over the planet to set up their own microfarm in their city and support or feed their local community. And what we found in those years is that many people jump to the conclusion that when something is grown hydroponically and indoors, that automatically means that things need to be high-tech. You need fancy purple lamps and a complicated systems that controls everything within your farm. And not only farmers have this misunderstanding, also first-time home growers think that they need a very special system and an app on their phone to see how their plants are doing. Now, the bigger your farm is, it makes sense to invest in high-tech. If your farm is so big you cannot see the other end of it, it's a good idea to make sure that your processes are as optimized as possible. But when you're micro-farming, supplying food to your local community, you really don't have to invest that much in high-tech. Let alone when you want to grow a couple of lettuces and maybe a basil plant at home for yourself and your family. Now, a great product that you can grow completely low-tech at home are microgreens. And these are the beginning of plants, edible seedlings of vegetables and herbs. And usually they are only a couple of centimeters tall by the time you eat them. You might know them a bit more as a garnish on a dish in a fancy restaurant, but they are so much more than that. Scientific research has shown that you can find 3 up to 40 times as many vitamins in microgreen leaves compared to the fully grown version of that same vegetable. And we are now working together with the Autonomous University of Barcelona regarding a research about those high levels of antioxidants and other vitamins in microgreen leaves and how to increase them even more. Another great benefit about microgreens is that they are small. So you don't need a lot of space to grow them. And they also grow fast, within 6 to 20 days, depending on the species. And also, they make any lunch or dinner plate just look and taste amazing. Now, growing microgreens is one of the things that you can do that add to living a healthy life on a healthy planet. I really would like you to remember that you can make a difference with all the decisions that you make. You can stop pressing where it hurts by keeping in mind the big plus of plant-based food, local products, and sustainably grown food. And you can buy such food, but you can also grow them. And that is why we give all of you a Grow Your Own kit, so that you can start growing your own microgreens at home today. And I'll show you how easy that can be. So you put some soil or another substrate in a container, like for instance this cellulose material, and then you add quite some water so that it's nice and moist. Then you add your organic seeds that are suited for growing microgreens. And the first couple of days, your microgreens like to grow in the dark. Make sure that you keep on watering them a little bit every day. Then, after 3 to 4 days, you will see that your microgreens have grown to 1 or 2 centimeters tall, more or less, and that is when you can put them in the light. And then you keep on watering them a little bit every day until they are as you see here, as tall as you see here. And that is when you can enjoy your homegrown, super healthy, sustainable vegetables. Thank you.